Ladies and gentlemen, hope. It is a word we often use, but its true meaning can easily be misunderstood. In our world, hope is frequently seen as little more than a hopeful glance towards something better. But real hope, the kind that does not falter, is something far greater. It is a profound belief that no matter the storm, no matter the struggle, something good is being brought forth. And this hope is not in vain, for when placed in the hands of God, it is never wasted. Let us begin by understanding the nature of messes. Life is full of them. Failures, disappointments, things that fall apart before our very eyes. It is easy to believe that these messes are nothing more than the result of bad luck or poor choices. But I submit to you today that what we see as a mess is often the very thing God can use to create a miracle. God's nature is such that He does not leave us in chaos. When all seems lost, it is precisely when He is at work the most. Think of the great examples of His work throughout history. Each one is a testimony to the truth that God can take our brokenness and turn it into something far greater than we could have ever imagined. In every mess, there is the seed of something miraculous. What seems irreparable when placed in His hands is made whole again. But how does this work? The answer is found in understanding the role of purpose in every situation. The mess you find yourself in today is not a random accident, nor is it a punishment. God has a purpose, a greater design for each and every experience we face. When we are walking through difficulty, it is easy to feel as though we are lost, but the truth is that we are simply being refined. Every trial, every setback, is an opportunity for God to mold us into something more. We are being prepared for something beyond our current understanding. And let us not forget the power of God's timing. There are moments in life when we see no way out, when everything around us seems to crumble. In those moments we often wonder, where is God? But I assure you, it is in those very moments that His hand is shaping our future. His timing is perfect, and His plan unfolds as it should. We cannot rush or force His hand. We must trust in His ability to bring about a miracle in His perfect moment. Hope in God is not passive. It is an active force, a fuel for faith. It is not a resignation to our circumstances, but a courageous stance that says, I believe that God can and will transform this mess into something beautiful. Hope moves us forward. It compels us to take the next step, even when we cannot see the way. It is the confidence that something extraordinary is being prepared, even when the present moment seems unbearable. So, let us hold fast to this hope. Let us place our faith in a God who is faithful. No hope in God is ever wasted. No prayer is ever unheard. Whatever mess you find yourself in today, trust that He is at work. You may not see the miracle now, but in time you will. And when you do, you will look back and marvel at the beauty that only God could have brought forth. In conclusion, remember that no matter how great the mess, God is greater still. Hope in Him and watch as He turns your mess into a miracle. End of poem. Thank you, hope, is a word that is often used in casual conversation, but its true depth and significance are rarely fully grasped. In our modern world, hope is frequently equated with wishful thinking or positive anticipation. We hope for good things to come, for changes in our circumstances. While such hopes are not necessarily misplaced, they miss the essence of the deeper, more enduring hope that is not founded in fleeting desires, but in something much more profound. True hope is not merely a positive outlook, but a steady, unwavering belief that, no matter what may come, good will ultimately prevail. At its core, hope is an expression of trust in something beyond ourselves. It is the conviction that there is purpose and meaning in the world, even when circumstances seem to suggest the contrary. It is not blind optimism or an unfounded belief that everything will simply work out, but rather a confident assurance that despite the turmoil and suffering we may experience, there is a guiding force at work that is leading us towards something greater. This kind of hope is rooted in faith. Faith in something larger than human understanding, faith that transcends the limitations of the present moment. Many of us find ourselves hoping in different things throughout our lives. We hope for success in our careers, for good health, for the happiness of our loved ones. These hopes are part of our human experience and reflect the desires that drive us. However, there are moments in life when these hopes are dashed. We face unexpected setbacks, suffer losses, or encounter hardships that seem to challenge everything we believe in. In those moments, it can feel as though hope itself has abandoned us. But true hope, hope in something eternal and unshakable, is never wasted, even in those darkest of times. This deeper form of hope is not dependent on circumstances. It is not about wishing for the best possible outcome, but rather about trusting in the one who holds the future. When we place our hope in God, we are not simply hoping for a particular result, but trusting in His character and His ability to work in ways that we may not immediately understand. This hope is not rooted in human effort or achievement, but in divine grace. It is the belief that God can take the most difficult situations and through His wisdom and power bring about something far beyond what we could have ever imagined. The beauty of this hope lies in its resilience. Unlike the hope that is based solely on our own desires or expectations, the hope that comes from God is steadfast and unyielding. It does not falter when the road gets rough, nor does it diminish when faced with trials. Instead, it deepens, growing stronger with each challenge we face. This hope is not just a passive waiting for things to get better. It is an active force, one that drives us forward and gives us strength to persevere, even when the outcome is uncertain. It compels us to keep moving, even when the way ahead is unclear, because we know that our hope is placed in something that will never fail. Hope in God is transformative. It has the power to change not only our circumstances, but our hearts. It shifts our perspective, helping us to see beyond the immediate struggles and to trust in the bigger picture. It reminds us that even in the midst of suffering, we are not abandoned. We are not left to navigate the mess of life on our own. There is a greater purpose at work, and the hope we place in God is a reminder that we are part of a much grander story, one that is unfolding according to His plan. True hope offers us a sense of peace and security, even in the face of adversity. It anchors our souls in something eternal so that we are not tossed about by the shifting tides of circumstance. We can face life's challenges with courage, knowing that our hope is not founded on the fleeting things of this world, but on the eternal promises of God. In this way, hope becomes not just a desire for a better future, but a source of strength and resilience that sustains us in the present. Hope in God is not a passive, idle feeling. It is a dynamic force that shapes our lives, our decisions, and our actions. It is a hope that calls us to trust, to believe, and to endure with confidence. And when we place our hope in God, we can be sure that it will never be wasted. Whatever mess we may find ourselves in, whatever struggle we may face, our hope in Him is the firm foundation upon which we can stand. It is the quiet assurance that no matter how dark the moment, there is light ahead, and that light is in God's hands, guiding us toward His perfect plan. When we speak of the impossible, we are referring to those situations that lie beyond our comprehension, beyond our ability to solve or control. These are the moments in life when everything seems lost, when every avenue appears blocked, and when human strength and wisdom seem insufficient. It is in these moments that the true nature of God's role in transforming the impossible becomes most evident. 19. Blessings from God, the Prince of this world. Blessings from peace and control, blessings from peace and transformative, blessings from peace and preservation, blessings from peace and purpose, blessings from peace and control, blessings from peace and control, blessings from peace and prosperity, blessings from peace and prosperity, blessings from peace and control, blessings from peace and prosperity. While humans often view certain circumstances as insurmountable, God's power is not limited by what we deem possible. He is able to take what appears to be an absolute dead end, and through His divine intervention, turn it into a pathway leading to something extraordinary. The Bible is filled with stories of God transforming the impossible into something miraculous. From the parting of the Red Sea, where God's people were seemingly trapped between a vast body of water and the pursuing Egyptian army, to the resurrection of Jesus, where death itself was defeated, God's ability to make the impossible possible is repeatedly demonstrated. These stories serve as reminders that God's power operates beyond the natural laws that govern our world. What we view as an insurmountable obstacle is but an opportunity for God to display His limitless sovereignty. At the heart of this transformation is the understanding that God's ways are not our ways, and His thoughts are not our thoughts. While we often try to plan and control outcomes based on our limited understanding of the world, God's perspective is infinitely broader. He sees the end from the beginning, and His plan unfolds according to a wisdom that is far beyond human comprehension. For us, something might seem like the end of the road, but for God, it is merely the beginning of a greater work. His ability to transform the impossible is rooted in His perfect knowledge and wisdom, allowing Him to bring about outcomes that we could never predict or imagine. In our lives, we often encounter situations where it feels as though all hope is lost. These are the moments when our resources are exhausted, our options have run out, and despair sets in. Yet it is precisely in these moments that God's power shines the brightest. He is able to take the messes we've made, the broken pieces we can't seem to put together, and create something new. He does not abandon us in our weakest moments. Rather, He uses those very moments to demonstrate His ability to do what we cannot. Where we see failure, He sees an opportunity for growth and transformation. God's ability to transform the impossible is not limited to grand, miraculous events. Often, His most profound work happens quietly in the hearts of individuals. It is in the transformation of character, the healing of emotional wounds, and the restoration of broken relationships, where God works in ways that are just as powerful as the parting of seas. The impossible in these cases may not be physical or external, but internal and personal. When we face deep struggles within our own hearts, whether it is guilt, fear, anger, or despair, it can feel like there is no way out. But God has the power to heal and restore even the most wounded of hearts. Through His grace and love, He can transform our inner brokenness into something beautiful, something that reflects His glory. In many ways, God's work in transforming the impossible is also a testament to His patience. We often want instant results, and we struggle when things do not happen according to our timeline. However, God's transformative work is rarely instantaneous. It is often a process that unfolds over time, as He works within us and through us, shaping us into who we are meant to be. This process is not always easy. There are moments of discomfort, struggle, and even failure along the way. But through it all, God is at work, shaping us, refining us, and preparing us for the miracles that are to come. Finally, I reach a place of complete surrender and resignation. It is also important to recognize that God's ability to transform the impossible is not just for our benefit, but for His glory. When He does the seemingly impossible, it serves as a testament to His power, His goodness, and His love. When we experience God's transformative work, it is not only a source of hope for us, but also a means through which others can see His greatness. Our stories of transformation become powerful witnesses to the world of God's ability to work in ways that transcend human understanding. Ultimately, God's role in transforming the impossible is a reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. We may face moments where we feel helpless, where we believe that no solution exists, but God is at work even in those moments. He is the one who takes what seems irreparable and makes it new. Through His grace, power, and perfect timing, He can bring about miracles in our lives, transforming the impossible into something beautiful, purposeful, and filled with hope. All we need to do is trust in His ability to do what we cannot. Life is full of messes. These messes come in many forms: emotional turmoil, broken relationships, financial struggles, health issues, personal failures, or even moments when everything seems to unravel at once. At times, life feels like a series of unpredictable challenges, each one seeming to pile on top of the other, creating a storm of confusion and chaos. In the midst of these messes, it is easy to become discouraged, to feel overwhelmed, and to wonder why things are happening the way they are. But it is important to recognize that these messes are not just random or meaningless. They are often part of a larger process of growth and transformation that is hard to understand in the moment. One of the first things to understand about life's messes is that they are an inherent part of the human experience. No one is exempt from facing difficulties. In fact, the messes we encounter often reveal much about our human condition. We are fragile, limited, and imperfect beings. We make mistakes, face trials, and experience suffering. These messes are a reflection of the brokenness that exists in the world, a brokenness that is the result of living in a world marked by sin, imperfection, and pain. Yet, these messes also carry within them the potential for growth, healing, and renewal. A significant part of understanding messes in life is recognizing that they often arise from circumstances that are beyond our control. While some difficulties are the result of our own choices or actions, many of the challenges we face come from external sources, things that we cannot predict or prevent. It may be a sudden loss, an unexpected illness, or a difficult season of life. These messes remind us that we are not all-powerful, that life is full of uncertainties, and that there is much beyond our ability to manage or understand. However, this realization does not leave us helpless. It calls us to confront the mess head-on and to trust that there is something more at work in the chaos. It is also important to understand that life's messes are not without purpose. While we may not immediately see the reason behind a particular struggle or hardship, God does not allow us to face difficulties without a greater purpose. We may be tempted to view our messes as punishment or as signs of failure, but in reality, they are opportunities for growth. In times of difficulty, we are often pushed to confront our weaknesses, to challenge our assumptions, and to grow in ways that we would not if everything were easy and straightforward. It is in the messes of life that we are often refined, as if through fire, and made stronger and more resilient than we were before. Life's messes also have a way of revealing what truly matters. When everything seems to be falling apart, we are often forced to reevaluate our priorities and our values. The things that once seemed so important, career success, material possessions, public image, can suddenly appear less significant when we are faced with personal trials. In these moments, we are reminded that true fulfillment comes not from external achievements or superficial pursuits, but from deeper, more enduring sources, relationships, faith, love, and a sense of purpose. Messes often have a way of stripping away the distractions, allowing us to focus on what really matters in life. Furthermore, it is important to remember that while messes are difficult, they are not permanent. No matter how overwhelming or painful a situation may seem, it is not the end of the story. Messes are often a temporary part of the process, a moment in time that will eventually pass. As we navigate through the mess, we may not see the end in sight, but we can trust that God is working in ways that we cannot see. Scripture. He is with us in the mess, guiding us, teaching us, and leading us towards something greater. While the mess may feel all-consuming in the moment, there is always the possibility for renewal, healing, and transformation. Lord, creator of heaven and earth, fosterer of the souls and creator of all. Moreover, our messes are not something we have to face alone. In times of difficulty, it is easy to feel isolated, as if no one else understands what we are going through. But the truth is, we are not alone in our struggles. We are part of a larger community of people who also face messes of their own. We can find support in others who are willing to walk alongside us, offer encouragement, and remind us that we are not forgotten. In the messes of life, we often find the opportunity to connect with others in a deeper, more meaningful way, sharing our experiences and offering help and compassion. Ultimately, understanding messes in life is about shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing them as insurmountable obstacles or signs of failure, we can view them as opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. God does not waste any experience, no matter how painful or confusing it may seem at the time. Through the messes, He shapes us, refines us, and leads us toward greater understanding and purpose. While life's messes may be inevitable, they are also the places where God's presence and power can be most clearly seen. If we trust Him, He will take even the greatest messes and turn them into something beautiful, something that points to His grace and His ability to bring good out of even the most broken circumstances. God's purpose in every situation, no matter how challenging or confusing, is a profound concept that can bring both comfort and clarity in times of trial. Life is filled with a variety of experiences, some uplifting, some painful, and many in between. It is easy in the midst of difficulty to feel as though our circumstances are without meaning, or that we have been abandoned to face our struggles alone. Yet, the belief that God has a purpose in every situation is one of the most powerful truths that we can hold on to, especially when life seems uncertain. First, it is important to acknowledge that God's purpose is not always immediately clear to us. Often, when we are walking through difficult seasons of life, we are not able to see the bigger picture. In these moments, it is natural to question why things are happening the way they are, or even to feel disillusioned. We may ask, why is this happening to me? Or what is the point of all this pain and suffering? These questions are natural, but they are also a reflection of our limited perspective. We are creatures bound by time, seeing only a small fraction of the story, while God, in His eternal wisdom, sees the beginning from the end. He understands how every piece of our lives fits into a much larger plan, a plan that is for our good, even when we cannot yet understand it. God's purpose is often revealed over time, and it is through our trust in Him that we learn to see His hand at work, even in the midst of confusion. Sometimes, His purpose involves allowing us to face challenges in order to refine our character. Life's difficulties have a way of bringing our weaknesses to the surface, forcing us to confront areas of our hearts that we might otherwise ignore. It is through hardship that we are often shaped into the people we are meant to become. God uses these situations to teach us lessons about patience, perseverance, humility, and faith. Without these struggles, we might remain stagnant, never learning the lessons that refine and strengthen us. At times, God's purpose in a situation may be to deepen our dependence on Him. It is easy to rely on our own abilities when things are going well, but when we face difficulties, we are often brought to the point where we realize that we cannot do it on our own. It is in these moments of vulnerability that we are reminded of our need for God. Through hardship, we learn to surrender our pride and self-sufficiency, choosing instead to trust in God's provision, wisdom, and timing. This shift in perspective brings us closer to Him, as we learn to rely not on ourselves, but on His unfailing strength. There are also times when God's purpose is about preparing us for something greater that lies ahead. We may face seasons of waiting, where it seems as though nothing is happening and everything is stagnant. In these moments, it is easy to feel discouraged, but God's purposes often work in ways that require patience and trust. Just as a farmer plants seeds and waits for them to grow, we too must wait for the fruit of God's work to come to fruition. These waiting seasons are not wasted. They are a time of preparation, a time when God is doing unseen work in our lives, shaping us and preparing us for the future. What seems like a dry season may be the very place where God is cultivating something new in our hearts. Another aspect of God's purpose in every situation is the way He uses our struggles to reach others. Our experiences, especially the painful ones, can be a source of comfort and encouragement to those around us. When we walk through a trial and come out the other side with a testimony of God's faithfulness, we become a witness to others who may be facing similar struggles. God's purpose in our lives often extends beyond us as individuals. It includes the way He uses our experiences to bless and encourage others. The healing and strength we find in the midst of our own difficulties can become the very means by which we minister to others who are in need of hope. It is important to understand that God's purposes are always good, even when our circumstances do not feel good. This is a truth we must hold on to in times of difficulty. While life can be painful and unjust, God's plan for us is always motivated by love. His goal is not to harm us but to refine us, to shape us into the image of His Son, and to bring about good in our lives, even through the most difficult situations. We may not always understand how or why things happen the way they do, but we can trust that God is working for our good. His purpose is greater than our understanding, and His plan is filled with hope, even in the darkest of moments. Ultimately, embracing the truth that God has a purpose in every situation allows us to face life's challenges with a sense of peace and confidence. We can rest in the knowledge that our lives are not random, and that every experience, whether joyful or painful, is part of a divine plan. Even when we cannot see the full picture, we can trust that God is at work, weaving together every moment of our lives into something beautiful. This trust is not passive. It requires an active faith, a decision to believe that God's purpose will be revealed in His perfect timing. And when it is, we will see that everything, even the messiest of situations, was part of His good and loving plan for us. The power of God's timing is a concept that, when understood, brings a sense of peace and assurance in the midst of life's uncertainty. In a world where we are accustomed to instant gratification, where everything is expected to happen quickly and on our own terms, God's timing often stands in stark contrast. His timing may not always align with our expectations, but it is always perfect. Understanding and trusting in God's timing transforms the way we approach our lives, our plans, and our struggles. One of the most challenging aspects of life is waiting. Whether we are waiting for a promotion, a resolution to a problem, healing from illness, or even clarity about our future, the waiting period can feel long and uncertain. It is in these moments of waiting that the power of God's timing becomes most evident. While we may grow impatient or anxious, feeling as though we are stuck or overlooked, God is always at work behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways that we cannot see or understand. He knows the exact moment when things need to happen and the perfect conditions for them to unfold. His timing is never too early, nor is it ever too late. It is always just right. Thank you for watching. Dr. James Galileo.